What's going on, guys? It's DP here, and today I'm gonna bring you a Sky Striker deck profile. Like always, this is for the casual player who wants to play for fun and doesn't care about including every card in the archetype. So, without further ado, let's begin. First, I run 3 copies of Sky Striker Ace Rose. This card says, quick effect, you contribute this card, special summon one Sky Striker Ace monster from your extra deck to the extra monster zone. While this card is in your graveyard, if you face up Sky Striker Ace linked monster you control is destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, you can special summon this card. You can only use each effect of Sky Striker Ace once per turn. You have to run 3 of her. She is what makes this deck so important. Then you run 2 copies of Sky Striker Ace Rose. This card says, if a Sky Striker Ace monster is normal summon or special summon Sky Striker Ace Rose, you can special summon this card from your hand. If your opponent's monster in the extra monster zone is destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of a card effect, while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card. Then you can negate the effect of one face-up monster your opponent controls until the end of the turn. You can only use each effect of Sky Striker Ace Rose once per turn. This is pretty standard, 3 and 2. What isn't standard at all is 1 copy of Alaron. The only reason I run it is because I like running 1 card of every card of the archetype. This card says, this card is always treated as a Sky Striker Ace card. A Sky Striker Ace monster equipped with this card gains 400 attack. You can only use one of the following effects of Alaron per turn and only once that turn. During your May phase, quick effect, target 1 Sky Striker Ace monster you control equipped with this card from your hand or field. If this card is on the field is destroyed, you can send 1 Sky Striker Ace card from your deck to your graveyard. That might come up, so that's might justify a spot, but usually people don't run it. Next, I play 3 copies of the Kaiju, Sky Striker, Surgical Striker, Hamp. This card is always treated as a Sky Striker card. If you control a Sky Striker Ace monster, you can special summon this card from your hand to either field by attributing 1 monster on the field. You can only special summon Surgical Striker Hamp once per turn this way. When this card is destroyed by battle, you can target 1 card your opponent controls destroyed. That's a way to get rid of any potential monster you have stuck on your side of the field, or if, like I said, it's a Kaiju. If you got a problem on your opponent's side of the field, you can get rid of it with that card. Okay, next. For the spells, I run 3 copies of Sky Striker Mobilized Linkage. This card says, if you control no monsters in your main monster zone, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn after this card resolves, except Sky Striker Ace monsters. Also, send 1 card you control to a graveyard, and if you do, special summon 1 Sky Striker monster from your extra deck to the extra monster zone. And if you have at least 1 light and 1 dark Sky Striker Ace monster on your field and in your graveyard, the summoned monster gets 1000 attack. Next, 3 copies of Sky Striker Mecha Widow Anchor. This card says, if you control no monsters in your main monster zone, target 1 face-up effect monster on the field, negate that face-up monster's effect until the end of the turn. Then if you have 3 or more spells in your graveyard, you could take control of that monster until the end phase. It's basically just to negate the effect of a monster. Next, I run 2 copies of Sky Striker Maneuver Afterburners. This card says, if you control no monsters in your main monster zone, target 1 face-up monster on the field, destroy it. Then, if you control 3 or more spells in your graveyard, you could destroy 1 spell trap on the field. You can use that to pop any extra monster you might have in your field that stops you from using this certain cards, or you could pop this one after you get rid of a problem from your opponent's side of the field. Next, I play 2 copies of Sky Striker Airbase Area 0. This card says you can target 1 card you control, excavate the top 3 cards of your deck, and if you do, you can add 1 excavated Sky Striker card from your hand. Also shuffle the rest into your deck. Then if you excavated a Sky Striker card, send the targeted card to the graveyard. If this card in the field zone is sent to graveyard by a card effect, you can special summon 1 Sky Striker Ace monster from your deck. You can only use each effect of Sky Striker Airbase Area 0 once per turn. Helps you recur your Sky Striker Ace monsters that might go to the graveyard. Next, I play 2 copies of Sky Striker Mecha Shark Cannon. This card says, if you control no monsters in your main monster zone, target 1 monster in your opponent's graveyard, banish that card. Or if you have 3 or more spells in your graveyard, you can special summon that monster to your side of the field instead, but it can attack. Just to get rid of any potential graveyard effects your opponent might have in the graveyard. Play 1 because it's limited copy of Sky Striker Mecha Modules Multi-Row. Once per turn, you can target 1 card you control, send that card to a graveyard. Also, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to your spell card's activation for the rest of the turn, even if this card leaves the field. You can only gain the previous effect once per turn. Once per turn during the end phase, you can set Sky Striker spells with different names from your graveyard up to a number of Sky Striker spells. You activate this turn while this card was face up on the field, but banish them when they leave the field. This is a card I meant to say was to pop a potential monster you might have on the field that you can't use. Because this card doesn't say that you have to have no monsters in your main monster zone to activate the effect. So that's why that's important. Also limited is Sky Striker Mecha Hornet Drones. If you control no monsters in your main monster zone, special summon 1 Sky Striker Ace token. Warrior Dark level 1, 0 attack, 0 defense in defense position, which cannot be tributed. And if you had 3 or more spells in your graveyard, when this effect resolves, the token attack and defense become 1500. It's an easy way to get into your link monsters, basically. The best card in the deck, which is still limited, Sky Striker Mobilize Engage. If you control no monsters in your main monster zone, add 1 Sky Striker card from your deck to your hand, except Sky Striker Mobilize Engage. Then, if you have 3 or more spells in your graveyard, you could draw 1 card. It's basically Pot of Greed. And these next cards are basically just names. You could cut these if you want, or you could run them. 1 Sky Striker Maneuver Jamming Waves. If you control no monsters in your main monster zone, target 1 set spell trap card on the field, destroy it. And if you have 3 or more spells in your graveyard, you could destroy 1 monster on the field. Next is 1 copy of Sky Striker Mobilize Mecha Ego Boosters. If you control no monsters in your main monster zone, target 1 face-up monster on the field. That target is unaffected by card effects this turn, except the zone. And if you have 3 or more spells in your graveyard, it cannot be destroyed by battle. You can use it to protect your Sky Striker monsters. 1 copy of Sky Striker Maneuvers Scissor Cross. If you control no monsters in your main monster zone, target 1 level 4 Sky Striker Ace monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand. Or if you have 3 or more spells in your graveyard, you can special summon it instead. Last but not least, Sky Striker Maneuver Vector Base. Blast. If you control no monsters in your main monster zone, each player sends the top 2 cards from the deck to the graveyard, or as many as possible if less than 2. Then, if you send at least 1 card to the graveyard and have 3 or more spells in your graveyard, you can shuffle all your opponent's monsters from the extra deck into your deck. If it comes up, it'll be great, but it usually probably won't. Okay. You run 1 Rhoda to add Sky Striker Ace monsters. One called by the grave. You could target 1 card, your 1 monster in your opponent's graveyard, banish it, and if you do, to the end of your turn, to end of the next turn, its effects are negated as well as activate effects and effects on the field of monsters the same name to stop graveyard effects. 1 for 1, send 1 monster from your hand to a graveyard, special summon 1 level 1 monster from your hand or deck. I use this to bring out a Laron and potentially get rid of a dead hamp in your hand. Cut this card if you don't run a Laron. Draw power, additional draw power, Upstart Goblin and Metal Foes Fusion. 1 Terraforming. 3 Cosmic Cyclones, because you lose no resources except life points, and the only life points that matter is the last one. Pay 1,000 life points, then target 1 spell or trap card in the field, banish it. And since I'm running Metal Foes Fusion, I also run Foolish Burial Goods just to be able to get that draw sooner. Send 1 spawn trap card, Metal Foes Fusion from your deck to graveyard. You can activate 1 Foolish Burial Goods per turn. You can also use it to just add spells into your grave. The extra deck monsters that I recommend running are 3 copies of Sky Striker Ace Kagari, 3 copies of Sky Striker Ace Hayata, 3 copies of Sky Striker Ace Shizuku, 1 copy of Sky Striker Ace Seek, 1 copy of Sky Striker Ace Kaina, and 1 Link Karibo to get rid of your Sky Striker Ace token or Laron. Okay, some cards I recommend if you want to make this deck more competitive. That was only 12 extra deck monsters, so the last 3 is whoever you want. And because of that, you could run Pot of Prosperity because it lets you pick which ones you want to banish to get your 2 draws. As long as you don't get rid of any potential Sky Striker Ace monsters that you might need from the extra deck, like Kagari, you should be good. 3 copies of Ash Blossom Joy Spring, 3 copies of Effect Veiler, 3 copies of Infinite Permanence, and these next 6 cards are cards that I would run in this meta. 3 copies of Draw and Lockbird, and 3 copies of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. You have to be careful with Draw and Lockbird because it could keep you from drawing from the deck. So just think about that before you include it. Well, that's it for my deck profile, guys. Let me know what you think. And as always, be safe and be careful. See you next time.